haven't filmed here for about a month and a half. Maybe even a bit longer. And this is how much it's changed. It looks like a beautiful garden. Sometimes I record these videos and I don't post it until a couple weeks after, so there's such a mystery and a beauty to life and this seeming unfolding that can take place in the human body. You could call it awakening, or I don't know. I don't know what it is anymore, you know? No word really seems to do anything. But the complete melting of all perception of objects. Like, you can't see any objects anymore. You just don't know what it is, you know? It's not solid. It's here and it's not. It is and it isn't. I care and I don't. I am and I'm not. Like, it's so paradoxical. You can't make sense of it with thoughts or the mind. So really, there's not much reflecting going on anymore. Like, only when I think about recording and what might be interesting to talk about, or only then does a reflection kind of happen. But otherwise, it's just what is. You know, there's nothing really much to it. There's nothing reflecting anything. You know, it's simply just what is. You can't really describe it at all. I could use words as a little pointer to somehow bring you back to what simply is. So I can say things like this is already fulfilled. Everything that's ever longed for or wanted or desired, it already is. Not in an attainable way, it's not objectifiable, it's not knowable, it's not something you get or lose. It is all of those happenings. It is the illusion of separation itself, but energetically, not mentally. There really is no way to get to this, but from the illusion of me, it will feel like that. And sometimes I can say things like really being honest with what's here, with what's arising, feeling wise, maybe in thoughts, being really honest with that. Can provide an openness, a rawness, a complete unshielded nakedness. Sensing that you never had anything to be ashamed of or embarrassed about. You literally did the best you could. Because living as a separate self, it's really difficult. It's just really difficult. There's a lot of struggle, naturally. What's more and more revealed and what's more obvious is how unbelievably difficult living as an individual, as a separate individual. How unbelievably difficult it is. Regardless if you're whatever type of personality or characteristic, if you're the compassionate type or empathetic or narcissistic, and it doesn't matter, it's just difficult. You all have your own particular challenges, I guess. Now that the ability to kind of define myself as, I don't know, an empath or a caregiver, sure, I could use those descriptions, but it's not like I really believe them anymore. It's not like it actually sticks anywhere. Because those parts have healed, those parts have dissolved, those parts have been mended in all its layers, it seems. So maybe not all, but a large portion of it certainly seems to have. I'm sure there's more. There's always more, I guess. Doesn't matter. But because of that, I literally can't see feel like I have to be careful with my words sometimes. I literally can't see like a narcissist as a bad person in a way. I mean, it depends. Sometimes for sure they could do a lot of harm, and then there could be anger that arises here, and a real strong preference for that not to happen and to see that as wrong. Obviously, it depends. But it's probably something really difficult that made them that way. And because of the effects of separation, meaning shame, embarrassment, guilt, blame, I don't know, just the ownership of all of the complexity of what could arise in a human body, when it feels like mine and the stories go rampant, like, anything can arise, anything can be taken on as truth, and then things can get really twisted. So I'm not really saying that any of those maybe horrific actions that could happen because of that, I'm not necessarily saying that there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that I can't see a person. I can't see an individual at the center in charge of that, actually in control of that. Like, it will feel that way. And that will be projected onto them if there is a sense of self in you. But again, there's nothing wrong with the story. Like, if harm was done to you, it is really good to recognize the depth of that harm, the depth of the pain that it caused there, how it may have had ripple effects in so many other areas of your life, and how it did deeply affect you, how it did lead to immense suffering. It's beautiful and perhaps essential to recognize that and allow that to come up. Because from that individual perspective, it is wrong. It should have been better. You do deserve better. You deserve to just be treated with respect and common decency and love. And did I say respect? But in the end, the story can become irrelevant, It just dissolves, and you don't see anyone anywhere. You don't see a culprit anywhere. It really does feel like that's how I perceive those in my life that had so-called harmed me the most, And some of them did do really horrific things that affected me for years, affected my health in so many different ways. So it wasn't easy. It had its consequences, and I had to deal with the consequences. And it was very painful. But this did not come all of a sudden, and it was pretty slow, you know? It mended itself in ways it's just miraculous. I think it's when you deeply feel through all of the pain and suffering here from an unguarded place, from a place where you're barely there and the story is just able to be, and the reaction and pain is able to be, but there's still this understanding that this is it. That is it too. That the pain was never actually a problem. That it's understandable. That it needs to be felt, needs to be allowed. You need to allow yourself to really mourn how horrific some circumstances were. Anyways, I felt like I just went around in a circle, but that's kind of how it is, you know? It comes in layers, seemingly. You grieve it, mourn it, process it in layers. And all along, all the while, it's still just this. You know? There isn't anyone actually getting anywhere, but so-called healing is happening. A dissolving of an illusory self is happening. A dissolving of a imagined story that feels absolutely real and painful sometimes is happening. Very contradictory. Very mysterious. It's like it's easy to give you how-tos on how to live, how to build a life, how to become a better person, how to improve yourself and things like that. And it's not that all of it becomes absolutely irrelevant. You don't have to throw everything out, but this is the deconstruction of all of that to a large extent, you know? It's going backwards to a place that never left, to a space that always was, to life that was always unknown, fully alive, fully vibrant, fully here, fully available, just full. And to really feel or sense or know or rest as or become the absolute stillness of life, the absolute brilliance of life. It takes everything. It takes the whole person. It takes all of you. The disappearance of all of you. The grieving, mourning, and loss of your entire world, your entire existence. That's it. And it's not even like you can parade around after you are this, because no one is this, you know, like there's no one that is resting as it or can know it. It just is. It's completely beyond any type of description, quality, opposites. It's beyond the mind so thoroughly. Seeing that it is actually the thoughts, you know? It is the breath. It is the everything. It's the emotions. It's the sensations. It's everything. Everything. How could you ever be apart from this? How could you ever lose this? How could you ever claim this? The entirety of everything.